Hello, everyone out there in the world. Welcome to my new podcast that I am starting, I guess. It is called The Witcher's Witching Hour. You may be wondering why I chose such a weird and stupid name. That's actually a good thing to wonder, probably, because this is a pretty weird name without any context. The reason for why it is named after a person from a video game is because my name is Joshua Witcher. So it's kind of like, Witcher's Witching Hour. So it's like, put my name in there. It's going to sound very cool. Anyway, that is a very stupid way to start off this podcast. I am just not realizing that. I am so sorry. Okay, anyway, you may be wondering who I am. As I said, name is Joshua Witcher. I am from Ohio, where I currently still live. I am 17 years old. I go to high school, which shall remain unnamed, and I'm actually taking these classes that on paper are registered as college classes because, I attend the college, which is nearby. It's pretty interesting, but it's also kind of boring. College classes aren't that hard, at least for me anyway. But it's just so different from high school because in high school, you have these groups of people and everyone kind of fits into a certain place. But with college, unless you know someone going into it, you don't really have like a lot of friends or anything. Like there's not whole cliques, I guess, is what they were called way back when. So you don't really have that anymore. You just have groups of people who know each other from classes who just, I guess, hang out. Which is actually how I met some friends of mine who shall also remain unnamed to protect their privacy, even though no one will see this first episode, but that's okay. They're some of the best friends that I have ever known. They're so nice, and it's always nice to meet someone who's dedicated to you. And I think as a friend, I've been pretty good at that. But I mean, they've both been so amazingly nice to me, even though they actually just met me a year ago. It's so crazy. Time flies so fast, especially when you're doing school. I mean, it feels like just yesterday I was turning in my paper to sign up for the first time, and I was so nervous. It was so amazing, and actually, the first time I scheduled 4 classes, I actually almost didn't make it because, we mailed in, here's the story, we mailed in this piece of paper because the school told us to, and then 2 months later after we mailed it in, they said, hey, are you scheduling for classes? We haven't received any notification if you are or not. And we're like, we already sent in our paper. What are you talking about? So then we have to go to the school, and they're like, oh, yeah. See, there's going to be a problem with that. So we had to get an entirely new piece of paper, fill it all out, go back in, reschedule my classes, and then turn in my piece of paper after getting it signed and everything. And we got that news in July, so we actually had to wait until August when the school year started again to turn everything in. Luckily, there was still a space in all of my classes. Sorry if I'm saying a lot. I'm a little bit nervous, even though I probably shouldn't be. But, it's whatever. So I actually took, at my college, I keep doing it. I had this problem because I took a speech class, and with every single one of my speeches, my teacher would actually write, you said 10 times, is something wrong? You seem pretty nervous up there. But I was actually he said I was very good at on my speeches, which I think so as well, just because, I got A's on every single one of my speeches. I think I passed that class with flying colors, which is very interesting because I honestly never thought I would. For one of my speeches, actually, this is kind of interesting, and it's something I don't get to share a lot, so I'm going to do it here. I did I did the Joker from Batman Arkham. Oh God, Arkham Knight. I don't even remember. Gotham, whatever it's called. The second one with the Joker in it. It was after he comes in, and he comes in through the elevator. He's like, "We made it!" And he shoots his gun. Then he goes around the room and starts like, "Where is Harvey Dent? You've seen Harvey? You know where he is?" So that was my little experience in that, and it was pretty good. If I had like someone to do it with me, someone to help me with it, it probably would have been better, because then I would have had like interaction, someone else to base off of. But I did pretty well, I think. I got complimented afterwards by some of my classmates, so that was fun. And then, Jesus, what else? Actually, what else did I do at college? I took an English class that was pretty great. My first ever college course that I went to was an English class, and the teacher for it was honestly, she was really nice, but she was really committed to her work, which was fine. We read some interesting books. We read. This is the only college class, English class, that I took that I actually read books. The next semester I took a different one, and I didn't have to read anything. We just had to write papers. But with this one, we read Grapes of Wrath, Jenny Greerhart, I think, and Native Son. All three books were very interesting, and they really did so well at telling a story. Jenny Greerhart was not as interesting as the first two, though. That book kind of put me to sleep. But, yeah, so that was fun. I wrote interesting papers, I think, personally. But I think I really shined through in my second semester, I should say, excuse me. My second semester of English classes. I had to, basically, the teacher, he said, like, all right, the very first day, he said, at the end of the semester, you are going to pick a piece of information, and you are going to write about that for 12 pages. And that was frightening to me, because I had only ever done that once, and I didn't even complete the assignment. So it was very scary for me to have to now go into this entirely new world and just kind of crank out a 12-page research paper, even though it was literally like 4 months away. And our first paper, we had to do a type of letter to the editor, which was 300 words long, I think. So not very much, it's only like 1 page. So that was fine, and I wrote on. It was very interesting. I actually wrote on, I think it was the Times. I'm not sure, the New York Times. I think it might have been the Post, the Washington Post, that is. Both very reputable newspapers. I actually wrote on abortion, and the articles were saying like, "Oh, Trump is gonna repeal abortion," or like he's likely to do it. And in my paper, I said that if he did that, he wouldn't be very successful. There would be even more protests and everything, protesting his presidency. And as of right now, it doesn't look like he's going to do it. This is recorded. If it did happen, this was recorded before that. But I actually said, I actually don't know if I still even have the paper. I said it's very unlikely that Trump will be repealing abortion or putting in, I don't even know how you would do that. I don't even know all the rules, like how abortion even went into power. It was just through the Supreme Court. But I think it would be very stupid of him to do it, just because it's so necessary, is what I said. So, and then basically for several months, I was doing these papers on abortion, each one longer than the next, over the process and like how it all works. It was very interesting and eye-opening for myself, and actually made me change my stance a little bit, which I actually didn't expect to happen at all. I honestly expected to go into the experience thinking, wow, this was actually really, really stupid. I am so upset that I just did this to myself. But actually it was pretty great. I learned a little bit, not too much, of course. That's always the good basis. No, I actually learned so much from doing that. I learned that I am no longer fully for abortion. I'm not fully against it. I think the process itself is very scary after reading up on it. It's a very scary process, but it is, I think it's necessary. I think that it should stay there where it is, just because it is already used by so many people, and people say that's a bad thing. I don't think it is, but I think it should stay for at least a while. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens, because I actually wrote about this in my paper. There are so many countries. Actually, I don't know if there's so many. There was this one country, I think it was Botswana or something, that I wrote about, which had abortion so far is illegal there, and they have a crazy amount of mortality rate because of abortion complications, because, doing it in the back alley is very not good, especially by a person who probably doesn't have the correct degree. If they do, then great, but they probably don't have the right tools, because it's actually a very complicated process. The safest way to do it is with pills, but in order to do pills, you have to be like in the first month, I think it was. I'm not really sure, but let me take one sip. It was very weird. I'm actually drinking Starbucks Frappuccino. Not sponsored, I swear. Please don't unsubscribe if any of you are subscribed. Hashtag sellout. No, I actually bought a 4-pack from my CVS, and it was very good. This is what I drink before I go to work every morning. Because yes, at 17 years old, I do have a job, and it sucks. No, that's a lie. I love my job. It can get a little tedious at times, but, everyone says that about their job. Everyone thinks, oh my god, I hate my job, it sucks so bad. But my job doesn't suck. The people are nice. Sometimes you get customers who are a little bit rude, but, that happens with most things, And it's to be expected with fast food. You're going to have people who just aren't that, some people who just aren't in the mood to have their, have to take extra time to do something. I can't think of, actually, no, I can think of a person who did this to me. There was this one woman who came through our drive-thru, and she wanted a 4-piece nugget and a small fry, I think, and then like a caramel frappe, I believe. So I gave it to her, and everything. I was doing first lane handout. I work at McDonald's. I was doing the first lane handout and bagging for myself, I believe. So I bag everything up and I hand it to her, and she opens up the nuggets, and she just like, no, I think it was a fries. I don't really remember. It's not that important. She opens up the nuggets, and she just like takes a bite. She's like, nope, and she like hands it back to me, and then she takes the fries, and those weren't hot enough apparently. Neither were the nuggets. She was like, oh, these aren't fresh. Like she wanted her fries to be fresh. And at McDonald's, whenever you hear fresh fries, it gets very annoying. It's the same as when you hear no salt on the fries. Because then the people who are doing fries, which was me, have to put down another basket of fries and start cooking, which takes like 3 minutes. So we have to wait then 3 more minutes to bag your fries, and it can get to very tedious if there is a rush and someone orders no salt on their fries, or if there's just nobody else there and someone orders no salt on their fries, because then you're just like, oh my god, you're this person waiting at either the first or the second, most likely the second window, unless we put them to the third window for whatever reason, which we probably would do at that situation. You pull them to the third window, and just so you can get your times back to normal. Excuse me. I'm so sorry about that. I'm so disgusting. But so this lady, she like would not pull to the third window, even though the wait time would be exactly the same as if she had stayed at the second window, and we would have been able to get more people like out. My manager actually, my manager actually had to go out and talk to the people behind her and say, look, I'm really sorry about this. There's a person in front who will not move no matter what we tell her. And so she had to wait there. Meanwhile, she was on the verge of cussing me out this whole time. And it like nearly sent me like into a full blown like, oh my god, panic attack. But I'm I'm not susceptible to panic attacks or anything like that, so I was fine. I handled it fine. But I actually had to get my manager, and he had to talk to her, and he calmed her down. But eventually she leaves, and then the person behind him, God bless them for waiting, Jesus Christ. I mean, they had already paid, so of course they're going to wait in line. But they actually played a little joke on me because my manager went to their car, and they had like a vanilla shake, and I handed it to him, and she was just like, "This is fresh, right?" And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Are you serious right now?" And we had a laugh about it, and it was really great. But that was actually the first. At this point, it was like, I don't even know, like 10, maybe 9:30. I don't know. I think it was 10-ish, probably 10:30 or something. So we were on the verge of closing. So there's only like 4 or 5 people. There's not a lot of people when you close, just because your manager is not going to schedule a full workhouse until closing. That's just not, wouldn't make any sense. So we had a rough go of it, to say the least. But that was fine. That was actually my manager's first time closing on his own, and I think he did a good job from what I remember. Excuse me 1 second, I'm going to take another sip of my Starbucks Frappuccino, not sponsored, I swear. But anyway, and I think I did okay, because I've closed like 3 more times, even though I've just been hired. I think this is my 6th week, 5th week, 7th week, I'm not sure. I've been paid twice, so I think this is my 5th week, which is fine. I mean, I would love to keep doing this job for a while. But yeah, I mean, they have me doing mostly drive-through. Sometimes it's front counter, which is fine. I enjoy doing drive-through, but front counter is fun as well. I mean, I like interacting with people. Handout is good too. Basically anything up front is pretty much my ultimate favesies. But I also have experience doing every single job except for first window, where you give them your money and you can change your order if you for some reason order the wrong thing. That's the only thing that they haven't put me on, and I'm not really sure why they haven't, to be honest. But I've done grill, which I absolutely hate. It is my least favorite thing. It stresses me out, gives me white hairs at 17 years old, which is probably not good. I don't have any white hairs, I swear. But yeah, I've done dishes. Dishes is like, it's not that big a deal. It's alright sometimes, but other times it's like you're just not in the mood to do certain things. Sometimes I'm like just not in the mood to do dishes. Sometimes I'm like, please put me on dishes, Jesus Christ. But I'm never in the mood for grill, so that's fun. I've done fries, which is just literally bagging fries. I've done front counter, which everyone knows what that is. I've run. When we run, it's when you have the person. We have little, like, almost a conveyor belt in my McDonald's. I don't know if every McDonald's does this. It's almost like a conveyor belt where you slide the food down. We put everything in the bag or on a tray for you. And then we give it to the handout people, who then hand it out. Or we put it on a tray, and then we put it on this little table, and we yell the number, like, now serving order 365, or something, whatever the order number is. And they run over and they come get it. But now we're actually doing this thing, and that's fun, but whatever. Now we're doing this thing where we give people these little, like, tags, is what we call them. It's basically like a little thing that has your number on it. It doesn't have the order number, but it has, like, a number. Basically, when I ring up your order, if it's for here, I'll hit a button that says tray, and then I'll go into tag menu, and there will be, like, a bunch of numbers on my screen, which was very confusing at first. And I look at whichever one is the tag that is on the pile first. So, like, if the tag is 22, I'll hit 22, and that makes it so whoever's running, whoever has to take it out to the person, knows what the number is, so that they can then just go out into the lobby and just run around until they see the person, which I'm sure gets annoying for those people, but, you know, it's actually a pretty good idea on paper, but we'll see how it works in functionality. I'm taking another sip now because I am very thirsty and my tongue is very dry. I don't usually talk for 20 minutes non-stop. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. So gross. The most I've ever talked non-stop for is like 8 minutes when I was doing my speech, and even then I took pauses. I just took like a 5-second pause. Jesus Christ, to drink some friggin' frappuccino. I'm so gross. I'm so sorry for everyone who's listening to this. You really picked the wrong person to listen to. If anybody's even listening. I don't even know. Who knows? If you are, thank you so much for paying attention to my life. This is going to be... Actually, let me talk about the podcast for the first time in 20 minutes. This is going to be the first episode. Obviously, this is going to be the little introductory episode. I'm going to talk about... In the future, I want to get into politics and everything. I actually want to run for city council at some point, which would be interesting. And then maybe something else further down the line. I'm not really sure. But, so, this podcast will maybe turn into... like politics later on down the line, I guess. I don't know. It's probably mostly just gonna be like half an hour of me ranting, which is probably gonna be annoying for some people, fun for other people, because I'm not really 100% sure on the idea of me doing an only politics or only news or only events that happen in my life podcast, because I think that's... I don't want to nail myself down to something too early on the first episode, or even on the 100th episode. If I make it to 100, I don't think it'll be a good idea for me to nail myself down too early. Maybe if I get to 100 episodes, I'll decide on if I want to make this a politics thing. I would like to make it a little politics cast, a podcast. Ooh, that's a good name. Nobody steal it. I'm gonna copyright that ASAP. Podcast. But I would like to, in the future, do a podcast where I talk about politics, which would be interesting, I think. I'm not really sure. I did a little bit of politicking in this podcast, actually, so maybe I'm starting off in the right. Maybe I'll do a news one, local news, or... Well, actually, local news would be a bad idea, then everyone will know where I live. That's stupid. Maybe I'll do, like, just news in general. I don't know. I'm a country boy from Ohio. I'm not country. We are a very northern state. Where I live is pretty... We have, like, a couple people that I know that are, like... They pretend they're country. They're like, oh, I'm still country. I could live out there. It's fine. It's so much fun. But they're just so weird. I'm sorry. I just wanted to see how high I could spike the thingy. The little sound morph, which I'm looking at right now because I decided not to put anything else on my screen like a normal person would be. So I'm just watching Audacity record my audio because I am a self-centered prick who wants to look at my own voice as it progresses. Hi, voice. Whoa, if I just like go silent for a sec. Oh my god, that's so cute. I'm so sorry. God, I'm so weird. But yeah. Yeah. I don't even know what to talk about anymore. Jesus. I'm not really sure. I guess I'll just talk about my life. As a 17-year-old, there's not a whole lot that I'm actually into. I don't do clubs at my school because obviously that would be really difficult. Going to college and trying to make something at the high school work. I've been thinking about it. I've actually been thinking about going back to high school, and it doesn't seem like a terrible idea, but it doesn't appeal to me that much, going back there, especially after everything that I've been through there. I've been through a lot at this college in a year, geez, already, so that's a counterintuitive statement, but, you know, whatever. I don't know, it's just ex-girlfriends, you know what I'm saying, which I'm not actually going to go into. But there's just people back at that school I miss, and I love to get back together with. I mean, get back together as in, like, talk to, not date. Maybe date. I don't know. We'll see. But I just think that as of right now, I've moved forward, and I don't see any sense in going back to high school just so that I can try and fit in with people again. Especially since I've already scheduled all my classes, and I've already turned my paper, so that would be counterintuitive. But I did track my first 2 years of high school, and it was pretty fun, but, you know, Uh, it got boring after a while, I guess, because it's just the same monotonous stuff. Working out and then practicing, then going back and working out, doing whatever I need to do, and then going to meets. Meets were fun. We went in, did our bit. I only did one event, so it was literally just for like 2 hours doing nothing, then doing my event for like maybe an hour. Not even, like, it would probably be half an hour, I guess. And then going back and then doing nothing. And I didn't have to watch everybody else, but usually we did, just because that's like the nice thing to do. And it was fun. There was a couple people on my team that I didn't really care for, which, I mean, it happens with every single thing. There's just people you don't really care for, and no matter what you're doing, whether it's work, a job, a sport, whatever. I work on a job where the same thing. Duh. Gee, I don't even know what to talk about. I'm running out of topics. Actually, I have a piece of paper which has everything on it. I've talked about my name, obviously my job. I am a crew member at McDonald's. Schools, yeah, I've talked about that. What I want to do in the future, my areas of employment. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do in the future, to be honest. Obviously, I said I was hoping to do something about politics, which would be very fun. I would love to do that. I've also been putting thought into either the Army or the Air Force, which would also be interesting. Probably not the Marines or that other branch, whatever it's called. Jesus, I feel so stupid. Anyway, I don't really think I'd be doing one of those. Air Force is probably, if I'm going to do the military, I'm probably going to go with Air Force, just because my mom was in the Air Force and so was my dad. That's how they met, was in the Air Force. Isn't that interesting? We can actually talk about that if we want. If you want, as if I'm talking to someone. I am. I'm talking to you. Hello, how are you? What's your name? Say it in the comments below. Thank you so much. But my parents met in the Air Force, and they had me, and it was fun. Actually, let me take a sip of my coffee and leave you on edge about the story that happens next. I just took a drink for like 3 seconds. Can you believe that? You were on the edge of your seat for 3 seconds. Oh my god. Anyway, back to the story. I think it was when I was 4 years old, my parents got divorced. And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother podcast. If I feel like continuing on with that story, probably won't, actually. I mean, if you guys care and you request it, I guess I'll do that. I'm not really sure of what's going to happen. But they got divorced, and my mom met another guy online. They started talking, they started dating, then 9 months later he proposed, and now I have a stepfather. And that's fine, he's an alright guy, I guess, whatever. But, I mean, it's just an interesting turn of events. A lot of people that I know, actually, no, I wouldn't say a lot, I'd say like a good handful of people that I know have had divorced parents, or they're raised by their mom or raised by their dad. So it's not like a terrible thing, to be honest. I think divorce has been blown way out of proportion, and has been, people think it's like a huge problem that kids are being raised without fathers or without mothers. I honestly don't think it's that big a deal, because I wasn't raised by a single parent, so I'm not really sure. But I was raised in a divorced household, but I was old enough to where I didn't know what was going on. I understood the concept that I would never see my dad. I would not say never. I saw him a lot, but I wouldn't see my dad as often. That kind of like happens later on, I guess. When I realized that, like, okay, my dad doesn't really live with us anymore, and then I realized why, But it wasn't one of those things where like I was asking about it. It's just one of those things where like it all clicks in your head and it all makes sense. Like, okay, all of this makes sense. All of this is working. All of this happened, all of this. It's like when somebody you care about dies when you're like 6. Like if an aunt, or I guess a grandma or a grandfather or a great-grandfather or great-grandma dies when you're like 5, you don't really get it. But then over the next couple years you realize, like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. They aren't coming back, I guess is a good way to say it. It's a very morbid way to say it, but it's actually, what went through my head. But at the same time, I wasn't treated terribly. I wasn't, I didn't take it hard, I guess is a better way to say it. I got to see my dad every summer because he actually moved away. He moved to Texas while we still lived in Ohio, which was, well, actually at the time, I believe we still lived in Delaware. I'm not even 100% sure. Then we moved to Ohio because my mom has family up here. I'm not sure what's going to happen with us in the future. We might move again. I doubt it because I have to move out soon, which is stressing me out. But my dad lives in Texas. I'll probably live with him for a while, to be honest. My dad moved to Texas when we were just a youngins, just a couple youngins in a burl. And then every single summer, I believe, he would fly up, meet us, then fly back to Texas, and we'd hang out with him for like a month, I think. Maybe 2 weeks was like the least amount of time we spent down there with him. But it was a good experience. It obviously isn't preferable. Nobody would say that was preferable over, doing something else. Obviously, I would love it if my parents were still together. If they oh Jesus, I cannot get my thoughts out. If they had, worked out, and I've heard the story a million times, and I don't think I need to share it here. If you guys care, I doubt you will, but if you do, tell me if you want to hear a continuation of this story as well. But it's just one of those things where, like, I didn't, at the time it wasn't really a big deal to me, but now, and it's not even a huge deal to me now, I just would have liked it if my parents had actually got along, and it would have actually been okay, like, if they had been able to live together and work all the issues out of their marriage. That would have been nice. I'm not really 100% sure, to be honest. Stuff just kind of happens, and then you just gotta kind of deal with it. I've been talking for half an hour. Is that not crazy to you? It feels like I just started this podcast. If any of you have made it this long, Jesus, you guys are amazing. You are my rock. You are my amazing. You guys are the most amazing people. Whoever made it to 32 minutes. If you made it this long, thank you so much. You are so perfect. Everything about you is perfect, baby. I love you. You are my rock. You are the love of my life, and you will never ever be replaced, except for when I replace you inevitably, because that's what happens with all of my relationships. Hey! No, that's actually terrible. Please don't listen to that. I'm a terrible person. So, what else to talk about? What I want to do in the future, I talked about that. Other than the military and politics, obviously I was thinking about going to college. I'm not really sure yet, though, where. Maybe CSU, but I don't really want to go there. My sister actually is going there now. As of right now, she is, and I'm not really sure if... I mean, it wouldn't be that big a deal if we're both going to school at the same place, but I'd rather go to somewhere where, it's a completely new experience. I've been to CSU a couple times, and it's a great, beautiful campus in the middle of Cleveland, but I don't know. I've been thinking about, like, an out-of-state college. That would be nice. But I doubt I'll ever get into anything. I was thinking about New York for a while, which quickly I realized was a terrible idea, because God, is it expensive to live in New York. And you have to have they were doing this thing where, like, you live there, if you live there in New York, and you have a job, like, if you don't live on campus, and if you live... It's like you have to have a house and you have to have a job within a certain amount of time or something, I believe. You can apply for this thing that then gives you free tuition or whatever it was, which obviously appealed to me, but I don't think it would ever happen, to be honest, because I'm just not, it's really expensive to live in New York, just because, the cost of living there is so exponential. Like, it gets ridiculous really, really fast. It's like I think it's one of the most expensive places to live in America. I believe it is, anyway. That makes sense. Which is kind of ridiculous, I believe, but, it's like toilet paper. People can raise the price all they want because they know people will buy it. So, like, that's always the argument that I use when companies try to raise their prices. Like, with the EpiPen thing, I think, they raised their price, like, a couple $100s, I believe. which obviously sucks. It's terrible that they did that, but they knew that they could do it, and that, I mean, obviously it's risky, but they knew they could do it because people will buy it. No matter what, people are going to buy it. It's the toilet paper argument. Toilet paper companies can increase their prices to $100 per roll. People will still buy their toilet paper. If every single toilet paper company raised their price to $100 a roll, you would still buy it because you need toilet paper. It's like, God, I don't even know what other thing. It's like electric bills and stuff. The electric companies can start charging you more. You're still going to buy their electricity, you know. And I don't even live in an apartment on my own or anything, but I assume that's how it works. I'm not sure how electric companies get their money. I don't even know if it's through use or if it's a flat rate. I think it's actually different, but it's probably per use. I think that's what it is with certain things, is with certain bills, is that it's either like a flat rate, which it should be, I honestly think, is like, especially for electric bill companies, should be like, they should just charge you $150 every single month. This is what I would do if I was running an electric company, is like charge someone $150 per month to use my electricity that I generate, and then just like, because you'd rake in money that way. That's the best way to earn money, is to set the bar low, I guess, is the best way to say it. But you do something that nobody else is doing. Example given, make a flat rate. I don't know if anybody else is doing it. They probably are. But make a flat rate, make it $150 per month. You're going to be making over $1,000 a year. Probably not enough to stay in business if only you have one customer, but I mean, charge more, charge $200 then. I don't know. That might be how it works. That I don't know. I don't run these companies. But I've honestly considered, I was thinking about companies, but that seems like a bad way to spend my future, because I'm not money smart. I'm like the opposite. I don't spend my money well. I'm very, I don't think frugal is the right word. I'm very, if I have money in my pocket, it burns a hole. Like, I just got paid Friday, and over 2/3 of that paycheck is already gone. Of course, as of right now, I'm still living with my parents, you know, I don't have to provide for myself yet, so it's not an issue that, like, I haven't realized the importance of the dollar, you know, so it's not really that big a deal that, like, I haven't paid my dues, I guess would be a good way to say it. I haven't just paid bills. Like, at one point in my life, never at any point in my life have I had to pay a consistent thing every single month, which I'm assuming as soon as I get my own place and I start making, obviously I'm going to have to either get a second job or get a job that pays more than a couple $100. But if I want to do something like that, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm talking through yawning, that's so disrespectful. If I wanted to get my own place, I'd have to be making more money. I'd have to be making like $1,000 per month, or I could just, you know, find a place to live where it's not as expensive as the places I live here, which would be probably preferable. And excuse me for another second, I'm going to be even more disrespectful than I already was, yawning. I'm actually going to take another sip. Sip over. That was quite an exhilarating sip. If you couldn't tell, I'm getting to the bottom of the bottle now. I had already had like half of it before I started, but I'm getting to the bottom of the bottle now, where all the best parts are at. It's like when you make a pot of coffee. I don't know if you kids these days still make pots of coffee, but the best stuff is at the very bottom, because that's what was brewed first. The more you know. We have to brew coffee all the time at my work, and it gets really annoying sometimes, because sometimes people will just like start taking from a pot, and then when it's empty they won't fill it back up. I do this all the time too, so I don't even have any room to talk. But sometimes you'll just people will just take from your pot of coffee. One that, like, what is even more annoying is when you started taking from a pot of coffee, and when people come over and start using, like, taking it to fill up, obviously, because they have to fill it up if we don't have any. Like, sometimes front counter will take it from drive-through. What they'll do is we'll go over and we'll, like, take some from drive-through if we don't have any, because drive-through, I don't think they sell as much coffee as front counter does. But, like, we might be brewing a cup of coffee or something, and I'll just like, God, I can't even get my words out. I'll be brewing a pot of coffee and I need to run over there to get some more coffee. Or vice versa, I'm working drive-through and someone else comes over from front counter and they don't grab the pot that has already been started, which is like half empty. This is actually one of my pet peeves, is they don't grab the pot that's already started, they grab the pot that's like almost full and is on the bottom shelf instead of one of the ones that is on the top shelf and is basically almost empty. So yeah, and also what I hate is when I get it if like sometimes we actually have people from drive-thru coming over to front counter. Sometimes what they'll do, or vice versa again, I keep generalizing it too much. What they keep doing is they'll take some and they'll like empty a pot, but then they won't fill it or they won't tell you that it's empty. What's nice is, what I would prefer is if someone like tapped me on the back and was like, hey, listen, your pot, I just emptied the rest of your pot. I'm sorry, I'm tired. They'll say, hey, I just emptied the rest of this pot. I don't have time to fill it because I'm in drive-thru right now and I need to, focus on my own thing right now. Which is fine if someone says that. Cool, whatever, I don't even care. If someone said that, that would be better than them actually just not doing anything about it, I guess, would be my answer to that. I don't know, or just fill it up when they're done. It's the same thing with like our fries. What we have to do with fries is we have to, every single time, oh, I'm sorry, I'm yawning again. I need more coffee. That must be what it is, drink more caffeine. Oh, I drank for like another couple seconds. Oh, that was almost like, 4 seconds? No, 3 seconds. Pardon. Like, what it is, with our fries, we have to get frozen ones, and then we put them into oil. Then it just cooks for like 3 minutes, I guess, is the normal amount. That sounds so weird. 3 minutes is the normal amount. It's just like we push a button, it's a timer, it'll cook. Sometimes it says duty. Not D-O-O-D-Y, D-U-T-Y. Get your mind out of the gutter, you nasty. But it just means you push the button and then you shake it so that all the fries are actually under the oil. But what's annoying is, and I'm sure this is for the people who actually run fries all the time, which I don't. I've only been put on fries like a couple times. What they'll have to do is, when someone takes from your fry thing and they notice that it's only a couple fries are left, and you don't run over and fill up another basket and start cooking that, I'm sure it gets actually very annoying for them because, it's like now you're making me do it instead of you doing it. I'm getting so, like, off track. I feel like I'm off track. I feel like I bounced around from a lot of different topics, probably because I bounced from so many things. This is like the worst podcast ever recorded, and I honestly should end it here. That would actually be a very good idea. Maybe I should end it here. Oh my god, is he going to end it here? How will you ever know when I'm going to take a sip of my Starbucks Frappuccino and leave you on the edge? Oh my god, I didn't leave it here. What? Can you believe that? I am all out of my Starbucks Frappuccino now. Can you believe it? I just went through half a bottle of my Mocha Frappuccino. Not sponsored by Starbucks, I swear. In 45 minutes. Oh my god. A Starbucks Frappuccino has never lasted me that long before. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? You probably can, because it's entirely realistic. But luckily for me, I came prepared, and I'm not an idiot. And I brought a Dr. Pepper, a diet one to be for shizzles with y'alls. Dr. Pepper is actually one of my favorite sodas. I just took a sip, if you couldn't hear me. That was me taking a second sip. Jesus, I'm the worst podcaster on the history of the earth. I guess I don't have to be good. This is the first episode, so all you trollers in the comments gonna tell me that I'm terrible at this. This is the first episode ever. Shut up. I'm so sorry. I am so terrible. I guess, on that note of terribleness, I will end the first video of my podcast. What? Can you believe it? I'm ending the video at 45 minutes. What? Alright, everybody. This has been the Witcher's Witch Hunt podcast. I hope to see you all next time. Please like, share, and subscribe if you want to. I mean, I'm not going to force you to. Obviously, I can't. But thank you so much for joining me. I hope you stick around for this marvelous adventure that is YouTube. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!